Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello everybody and welcome to iRacing's Formula Renault 3.5 Championship, brought to you by Apex Racing TV. This is round number 10 and it is not long to go until the end of the season, so the drivers need to step up their game tonight if they want to stay in the championship hunt. We head to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia today in Spain, but a historic version. My name is Jess Ball, one of your commentators today. We have Chan Wei Han joining me in the commentary box and Marco doing the cameras and broadcasting behind the scenes as per usual. And what a race we saw last week in Kota after the bad luck he has had this season. Paul Ilbrink took the win. Could we expect more surprises from him or even other drivers tonight as they take the challenges of this lovely circuit?
Most certainly. So I think the great thing about coming to this track today is we are using the historic layout. So, we will definitely expect much relatively higher average speeds and I guess a better driving experience, at least from a driver's standpoint. So you don't have to brake hard for the hairpin at turn 10. And you don't have the chicane along the final corners. And certainly with Ilbrink's race victory last week was certainly very refreshing to see. Of course, there are also other drivers like Edward Samborski, who was, really giving Ilbrink a run for his money, and also various other drivers that I think will definitely stand a chance at a track like this today.
Yeah, exactly. Now, for those of you that have noticed, yes, we said historic. We're not lying. This is the circuit that was used in 1995. The 4.72 kilometre track has had many modifications in its time before this, after this track came in existence. There was some modification in 2004. 2007, and obviously in 2021. None of the modifications in 2021 on either sim at the moment. So a few differences to point out as well as you head towards turn 10, as we're seeing with Benjamin Barretto at the moment. There's a few changes there. And the final corner, there's no bumps or double chicane. It's straight to the final corner onto the start-finish straight, which, to be honest, I'm so relieved of that. Just look at that. There's just more overtaking opportunities that these drivers can have as well. And I think more great fun as a few people going to the gravel trap there as Barretto slots his car into 8th position. I've been seeing times in practice and in other sessions earlier on when in the 124s. We're already in that already with the likes of Fabio Di Carbo and Eddie Sambrowski as well. Eddie actually took another podium last week. Tim Delisle taking 2nd place as well. Fabio only managed 8th position, but I'm sure this is one of those tracks that he likes, so maybe he can fight with the top guys once again. And James Pinsker is also in at the top 3 as well. So, you know, it's going to be quite close towards the end, and we won't know who's won the championship really until the final race, because there's so many other races that happen during the week as well. So we'll just have to wait and see. Not that long to go until the end of the top 2, separated by just 5 100ths of a second.
Yep, so having a look at the other lap times, I think, I guess most drivers have had their lap times dialed in already, so we are kind of seeing drivers within probably 1.5 and 2 seconds of one another, which is absolutely very tight, especially at a place like this. So John Owens is going to come around the final 2 corners. You can just see how much more speed he's carrying past the final 2 corners without that chicane. He will come across the start-finish line with a lap time of 1:25.43, which he he beats his previous lap time and improves by a couple of positions. This is Phil Reid, who will also go around this right-hander, which unfortunately we're not using the sweeping chicane that we see along the exit. That we're still using a right-hander, which, you know, that corner is a bit tricky with the exit. But not using, you know, skirting around the hairpin here. So you're using the higher speed sweeping left-hander and coming upon this slower right-hander, and you can just see that Phil does not have to go hard on the brakes for that chicane. Rather, he just carries his speed across these final 2 corners. The lap time yet to have one set by Phil Reid. He will come across the start-finish line with a lap time of 1:24.95, which puts him right behind Yuki Shirakawa.
Not a bad lap time from Phil Reid at all in 6th. Not where he usually is, but a lot higher than he usually is as well. So that could set sign for things to come in the race, as Oliver is coming across the line as well to complete his lap. He's setting personal best in all sectors so far, including the final one. So he's going to slot in into around about 9th position with a 1:25.2. So very close qualifying then from all the drivers. So let us run through the drivers taking part tonight. In pole position is Fabio Di Carmo with a 1:24.5 with Edward Sambrowski in 2nd. James Pinsker in 3rd, the top 3 separated by 7 100ths of a second. Then last week's race winner, Paul Ilbrink in 4th position, Yuki Shirakawa in 5th. We got Phil Reid in 6th, Marcos Aragon in 7th, Philip Preschneider in 8th, Oliver in 9th, Rafael Bonifacio in 10th, Jason Enrique in 11th, Benjamin Barretto in 12th, John Owens in 13th, Philip Sheep in 14th, Jamie Byrne in 15th, Luciano Costa in 16th, Dennis Cornu in 17th, Cal Young in 18th, and James Byrne in 19th. Only 19 drivers today, but I'm sure we're going to have some good quality action nonetheless. 24 laps, which should take us roughly into 40 minutes duration of this race. No mandatory pit stops, don't forget. So if they get damaged, then that will cost them a huge amount of time in the pit lane, and we'll see who's going to come out on top today. As we are waiting for the final few drivers to get gridded up onto the starting line and getting their setup sorted and their things that they need to do, their pre-race rituals, which sometimes I have all the time. And we're on board with Fabio, who's got a clean run to turn 1. He's sitting on the left-hand side at the moment. So we'll see if anyone like Eddie or James can pressure him into turn 1, which remains unchanged pretty much most of the track remains unchanged since it was inception in 1991, which was where they first raced in the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. And we got a jump start from Fabio, it looks like. He went off his start grid. So that caught him off guard, but we got Eddie, who's had a brilliant start as they make their way towards turn 1. Paul Ilbrink had a good start as well. Yuki Shirakawa has also had a brilliant start. It's going to be almost 3 abreast into turn 1 as Eddie gets the launch and into the lead. Paul Ilbrink is going side by side with Fabio a little bit, runs a little bit wide as well. This gives a chance for Yuki Shirakawa to gain the opportunity he needs as well. I'm sure Fabio must be under pressure now, being swarmed by a huge run of cars at the moment. And as you can see, a few collisions, and one of which is Benjamin Barreto, who's currently sitting in last, who's binned it around about turn 4 area. As we see, I think Phil Reed making some ground as well, not that far from Yuki, and some other drivers doing brilliantly as well. But Eddie Samborski leads the way, but I'm not quite sure why Fabio was a little bit too early of the start there. I think he may have been caught off guard.
Yeah, that was a great start by the drivers. I think a little bit of blocking there, so I probably picked up some remarks by some of the drivers. But we continue to observe the battle from the perspective of Yuki Shirakawa, who holds on to 5th position, same as where he began from, no overtakes done. So he takes the final corners here. I think it was quite a great start earlier on, and this is to Carmo. You can just see how fast those cars take those corners. And unfortunately, he has to go into the pits to serve a penalty for a jump start. And we do have a look at some of the cars running wide around the final corner.
Yep, they are. And some people may not be used to the final corner being different than the ones which was modified in 2007. As look at this, we've got a battle between Yuki and Marcos as well for 5th position. And Yuki doing a very, very good job holding off some of the very elite drivers at the moment. And we're seeing some lovely liveries at the moment, as you can see. Kuroko as well, battling with Preshnada, and we got Bonifacio as well as they head towards turn 5. And there's a kink in turn 6 coming up. I don't know why they call it a corner, but they do call it a corner in terms of Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia eyes anyway. But I don't like to call it a corner. Now you're heading towards turn 8. The train is starting to grow quite massively at the moment, and I think it's going to be the opportunity on who blinks first. But Eddie's pulling away just a little bit from the other, same with Paul Ilbrink as well. The gap between Paul and James is around about a second now, and then the rest of the drivers are around about a second each per driver. So any mistake from some of the drivers may force someone else to possibly potentially go for more potential moves, as 5 minutes have gone already of this race as we head towards lap 3, as Benjamin is already in the pits after his damage. But we are looking at a replay on what happened, on why he had a little bit of an issue. He's already had some issues so far this race. Oh, that is not good at all. His front wing is completely gone as well, and that's going to cost him huge repair time in the pits. I believe he had to tear himself as well, because it was a long way into the pit lane as well. Poor Ilbrink showing some high speeds at the moment. We'll see how it is compared to Eddie. He's gained about, I think, a few tenths on Eddie this lap. The gap's now down to 4 tenths. It was about 9 tenths a moment ago. So Paul showing his consistency right now. It's not where he started, of course. It's where he finished, and I believe he started 3rd or 4th in this race, and he's already up into second position. So huge gains of the starting line, and a few other positions gained as well. His Phil Reed also gained 2 positions. Jason Henriquez also gained 4. Philip Sheets gained 3. John Owens gained 1. Luciano Costa's gained 3, as well as Dennis Cornu. James Burns gained 4 positions. Cal Young has gained 2. And Fabio De Carmo's gained the least, with down 70 positions due to him serving his penalty. And Benjamin is still in the pits after his issues earlier on. So some surprises at the moment, but not surprised to see up the top. And Paul Ilbrink just set the fastest lap of the race so far.
Oh, and that's great to see. So I think we're going to have a good battle that we've probably seen a couple of races ago between Samborski and Ilbrink. So I do recall Samborski sharing with us that he does sometimes he does have his setup optimized, to remain in the lead when there's no dirty air coming from any cars in front of him. So I think it would definitely serve Edward well for him to kind of hold on to his race lead and try to fend off Paul Ilbrink for as much as possible. So at the same time, we see that Ilbrink is certainly doing a great job trying to find a window of opportunity to make an overtaking move work. Going a bit out of the grass there, so this car is not exactly the most stable. So he's coming upon this one corner, this right-hander, which if you do race on this track on iRacing, it is very easy to trigger a 1x off track if you don't get your exit right on that right-hander corner. But of course the drivers here do it very well, and he now comes around this round left turn 10 and onto the final sector.
Yep, the final sector being a relief for the drivers, of course, because there's not that long to go before they start the next lap. And it looks like Eddie's gained a bit more straight line speed as well. But as you can see, we've got a midfield battle on our hands. We've got Oliver versus Jason versus Raphael, and we've got Philip Freshenader being the lead of that train. And it's not the Trilly train, it's a Freshenader train as they head towards turn 1. And look at Oliver, he's getting a little bit closer at the moment. Well, you can see a battle in the background between Jason and Raphael Bonifacio for turn 1. Couldn't quite get it together, these two. And a few drivers actually had to back out from that battle. But the drivers giving it their all as they head towards turn number 4. A few people getting into the gearbox as quickly as they can. As Raphael, see if he can get on the left-hand side into turn 5. Again, couldn't quite do on this occasion. This is quite sunny conditions here in Spain. What you would expect if you go to Spain in real life, of course, where the 24 hours will be taking place a little bit later on in real life, which is very, very exciting. As Raphael, see if he could go for the lunge into turn 10. No, not quite close enough. No one is making obvious moves yet. I think most people have just stayed exactly where they are, but I think that we're at this point of the race, it's usually people making moves at the start, but at this point I think they just want to keep it steady for now. But the midfield is where we're at this moment in time, and I think Paul Ilbrink's just being a little bit patient to get the job done. But he's got to be careful because James Pinsker is on a charge right now. He's now set the fastest lap of the race, not by a lot, but that shows that he is catching, and he's back with a vengeance, not gonna lie.
Absolutely. So I'm certainly very keen to see what kind of magic Paul Ilbrink may be able to make happen again this week. He made it work last week, and I'm sure he will have an opportunity to do so again. But back with Bonifacio, who did try, and rather this is a battle for P9, and he tried to make an overtaking move on Jason Enrique. And he continues to do so because the gap between both drivers sit at about 5 to 6 tenths of a second. And both of them have rather similar lap times, with with a pace difference of about 2 tenths of a second. So, I think these drivers are in good position to continue battling out for their positions over the next few laps. So it is quite interesting to see because we don't necessarily have a big breakaway in this race as we would have probably seen in a couple of races, and most of the drivers are more or less equidistant to one another.
And for this Formula Renault 3.5 Championship, there's usually around about 2 or 3 splits, and this is the top split that we are covering on Apex Racing TV. So they are the best of the best, and they're already reaching times close to what they set in qualifying. So already they're pushing to the limit right now and taking every advantage that they've got on their competitors so far. And Paul Ilbrink's last lap time was a 125.83, and Eddie's is a 125.86. The top 3 are pretty much evenly matched so far, with the only 3 drivers, I believe, in the 125, everybody else in the 126. So we have pretty much one train for the top 3, and then that's basically everybody else. We've got Phil Reed being in a train on his own at the moment, just by himself, gets some clean air. This will give him a great opportunity to set some good lap times and maybe close in on the top 3. The podium could be in reach for him. You never know, anything can happen in Formula Renault 3.5. Riding on board with Marcos Aragon, who is just shy from trying to get past Yuki. Yuki, the Japanese, of course. We're seeing different nationalities here in this Formula Renault 3.5 series. And just behind these guys, we've got Philip Presneda all about. Oh, we've got someone side by side. That's Fabio Bonifacio fighting with Philip Sheaf, and Jason's gone off as well, heading towards the final corner. And I'm sure other people are going to take advantage of this opportunity by going side by side onto the start-finish straight then. We've got John Owens not that far behind as well. There's battles going everywhere. It's so hard to look at times. I'm sure Jason didn't want to be under pressure like this, but he is at the moment with the likes of Luciano Costa, Dennis Corner. The train is getting bigger and bigger right now, and I don't think he's able to catch up to John Owens, unfortunately, to head towards turn 2 to the sweeping right of turn 3. And I think that's allowed Rafael Bonifacio to have a little bit much cleaner and see if he can get past Philip Sheaf. But Jason Enrique almost gave me a heart attack there, but at least he got back onto the track. And I don't think any damage was done to that car, so at least he could keep going and make sure that he defends from the guys behind him as well. And the leaders, the gap sort of increased a little bit to now 1 second. So Eddie, I think, is a little bit more comfortable up in front compared to the other drivers, compared to his times. As you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, Eddie was significantly faster compared to Paul Ilbrink, the only one, apart from James in the 125 last lap as well. And it's very important to keep your consistency up, not just for one lap, but for the whole race. And Paul Ilbrink has just responded to Eddie's challenge by setting the fastest lap of the race. So he must have watched what we said, or listened to what we said, and say, you know what, anything that Eddie could do, I could do better, as they make their way past turn 2 into the sweeping turn 3. And Paul Ilbrink's just on the hunt once again, and because of this is allowing everybody else just to stay behind us. Philip Sheaf has gone off somewhere. Oh, that's not good. I hope we can get a replay, but which we will, of Philip Sheaf. So here he is then, heading towards turn 1. He's got, I think he had the likes of Luciano Costa and Dennis Cornu as well. And I think that was just a spin by himself. Wow. I don't know how other people did not get caught up in that, but that is just car control for some of the drivers, and that drops Philip Sheaf down into 17th position.
Oh, most certainly. So we're back with Paul Ilbrink, who, you know, if I guess if recent history serves us right, if Paul Ilbrink sets a fastest lap time and he's not in first position, he will have a high chance of going for the first position in the next couple of moments. So we'll see if that rings true again this race. But of course, Samborski is giving Ilbrink, or rather Ilbrink is giving Samborski. Both drivers are giving a run for each other, or rather, each driver run for their money. So I think a great show that they're putting up for us so far. The gap between them sits at 0.5 of a second, so that is quite a healthy gap that Samborski has to defend himself. And a bit hard over the curbs there, so that might set Paul Ilbrink back. And that kind of did set him back 0.2 of a second. So these cars, you know, they're very sensitive to bumps on the track. And notice that Samborski didn't take a wide exit through the exit of turn 3, because usually you can afford to take a slightly wider exit through that, because sometimes you can carry more speed through that corner.
Yeah, exactly. I think Eddie's mistake set him back a little bit, like you said. And I think that momentum, he just needs to forget what happened and concentrate on the race ahead, because the train is going to get even more bigger now with James in it now. And James is being more consistent than some of the other drivers now. And maybe that can help him close in onto the top 2 as he's starting to gain some good cornering speed into turn 10 now. And a lot easier on this game in a historic version to completely set of corners than obviously the ones modifications made in 2007, which is still an absolute nightmare, I have to say. And not many people making any overtakes in the final corner yet, but could we see that with this midfield battle with Marcos, who actually got past, I think, Presneda a few laps ago. And you can see how the track is so much different than the one that we see today, the map on the right hand side. So you can see, obviously, for those of you that just joined us, the final corner has no double chicane. You can't slow down, you can go a lot faster, and obviously turn 10 is a lot different as well. So those are the changes, everything else being exactly the same as it was, and obviously no 2021 modifications either. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and turn notifications on so you know when to check out your favourite races. And oh, there's Yuki that's had a bit of a spin into the gravel trap. That is turn 4 into turn 5 actually, or I might be wrong actually, as we'll see what happens. I think it might be another spin on himself. The gravel trap is just so close to that curb. And yeah, but it's just in the entry of turn 5. Luckily he goes off the track in out of the way of the other drivers. So yeah, what a shame for him, because he could have been on for a top 5 finish as well, but wasn't meant to be for Yuki. But still a long way to go of this race. We're not even halfway through yet.
And so that was unfortunate for Yuki, who has lost 3 positions from where he began from. So certainly some opportunity for him to regain those positions. That does mean that Marcos Alarcon has gained 1 position. And that does kind of put him a bit closer to the car in front. Of course, there is already a breakaway of the top 4 drivers versus the rest of the field. So this is Alarcon who leads the rest of the field behind that breakaway ahead. And currently he's doing a good job defending himself from Philip Presnader in defending his 5th position. You can kind of see that the choice of line he takes a slightly wide exit, which kind of allows the car to have a higher average top speed that can be carried through those corners. So a great choice of line by these drivers, defending his position well indeed, especially through this tight left-hander. The entry of this corner, the apex of this corner is also quite blind, so drivers usually have to brake more than they think they have to before they come to all these corners.
Yeah, sometimes you have to brake a bit earlier than intended when you're following other cars, because if you brake at the same time as the other drivers around you, then you're probably going to end up in a big crash, and you definitely do not want that. So obviously these drivers have been racing for a lot longer than most of us, so they're probably used to that already. But there's sometimes where you can make some mistakes, because there's some drivers that do not just race in iRacing, they race in other sims as well and in other series on iRacing. So they got to get used to from one spec to the other as well, which sometimes a little bit trickier, but they are pros at the end of the day, so they are expected to adapt to it quite quickly. But there are some tracks this season which drivers haven't seen before, so possibly Philip Presnader could go for a move down the right hand side into turn 1. Can he keep it steady on these drivers as well? A little bit of a love tap from Philip Presnader, but he is doing amazing today in this circuit, Barcelona Catalunya circuit. But the number 12 driver of Alarcon could try and go for the move into turn 4, which he does not. We got potentially Oliver in this battle too. Shame Yuki's not in this, but my oh my, Philip, that was absolutely incredible. He is tenacious. He wants to get moves done left, right and centre, and when he goes for the attack, it is incredible. So excellent job from him and to all the drivers.
Oh, this is an unfortunate mistake by Luciano Costa, and I think this was a replay. Let's have a look at how that happened, and we now have a look at Philip Presnader. We're back to live pictures, in fact.
No, we're not with the replay now. This is how I think we're seeing Luciano Costa replay of how he had a bit of a spin. Oh, I've done this many times in the Formula 1 games. At the slight touch of that left curb, and you just end up spinning. It's so easy to do, and in iRacing it's even more difficult than the F1 game. So you hit it hard, and it's not good. It just loses you so much time. So yeah, it's how you come back from that. But yeah, these guys are definitely making more moves now. As soon as one person makes a move, boom, there's more people that start to make moves. But the top 2, they're just not budging, are they? They're just finding their own bit of track. They're finding their own moment, and they don't care what's around them right now. Just wait for Paul to set blistering lap times towards the end of the race. that is probably when he's going to go for the move. I think he's had. I think that's what he did last week, and it worked wonders for him. He kept consistent, and you know, there's sometimes where you have to pick your own battles. As look at this, we've got Enrique chasing after John Owens there, and I think he saw Preschnader go for the move, and he thinks he's probably going to try and go for the move himself past turn 9 and in towards turn 10. Now someone has gone for a spin. One of the burns then in P14, and we've also got Young as well. So I think more drivers are losing their rhythm just a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. So what's happened to Carl Young then? Oh! Someone got off the track to try and avoid that. That again, that almost gave me a heart attack, but again, so easy to do. Philip Preschnader made a move earlier, but Marcos feels like that he can potentially gain the move that he lost earlier, which he couldn't, but maybe in the next lap it could be a ding-dong battle between these two, which is what I like to see, and maybe Oliver as well could join in this fight. And we have some other spins, the same turns. We're seeing some spins today. Turn 1, we see some spins. Final corner as well. Turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. Pretty much the first few sectors. And we're seeing John Owens then go for the move into turn 1. He tried to go for a move anyway, but he spun, so not good for him. And Eddie's found a few attempts on Paul Ilbrink this lap, so he's getting a little bit more comfortable than all the other drivers around him. But I think, I'm always going to say who I think is going to win this race, but I'm not just going to bother predicting. But it looks like Eddie is finding his feet right now, and Paul just needs to push a little bit, but he knows what he's doing. I'm sure he'll be happy with the consistency. Sometimes, if you don't get the win, as long as you get a podium or maybe P2, that will still help you get some needed championship points.
Yep, so awesome defending by Preschnader, as of course we've seen some unfortunate incidents that happened just a couple of moments ago. So Preschnader continues to hold on to P5, 3 positions up from where he began from. And look, the thing with these cars, you know, especially with also with the hot weather, you know, it does get quite difficult for drivers to keep their cars pointing straight sometimes, you know, with the amount of torque that's present on such cars like these. But of course, all these drivers are definitely top tier ones, because you definitely need a lot of skill to handle these cars. So Ollie Corker, currently in 7th, he's going for P6, and he wants a slice of what Marcos Alarcon does have. So this is a battle for P6 that we are observing, coming upon a left and right-hander sweeping corner. So you do decrease your speed quite a fair bit there. So lifting only, just notice that drivers don't brake through their right-hander. Usually if you drive a GT car, you have to brake there. 4th gear corner. Oh, someone's gone off again.
That is Phil Reed. That is Phil Reed, who was doing a fantastic job in 4th position. Luckily, he stays 4th position. But let's see, it's heading towards turn 10. And does he hit? Oh, he goes. Oh, he goes straight on. And he goes into the gravel trap. That is just one slight late turning, and that's just what's costed him a little bit of time. And look at who's in that battle now. We got Preschnader as well, who's about 2 seconds, but I don't think it's costed Phil Reed too much, or at least he can carry on. But we'll see what Philip Preschnader's times compared to Phil Reed, and that train I think is going to grow from 1 car from Phil Reed, potentially 4 as well. So that's going to add a little bit more pressure to the driver that has been in 4th for pretty much the whole race so far. So let's see if he could put his mistakes behind him and focus now on the rest of the race. And it looks like Benjamin Barato's race has come to an end. He's the only retirement so far. Fabio Giacomo is still going though, despite his penalty, down in 18th position. Same with Philip Sheep as well, which is great to see. And biggest gainer so far, James Byrne up in 12th position, gained 7th position. I believe he started near the back, so he's having an astonishing race so far. Jade Pinsker stay where he is. John Owen stay where he is as well. And Preschnader's gained 3 positions. He's the 2nd highest gainer out of all the runners so far. I think I did see someone gain a few other positions as well. And As I couldn't see the replay cameras for a minute, but I do believe this is Fabio that we are on board with. It was a jump start replay and it didn't show up on my screen, so sorry about that. But jump starts sometimes are just so easy to do compared to other games, but usually the game is like even the slightest jump start, and even with the slightest of margins, even by a millisecond, bang, you get a penalty. That's how hard racing is at times, isn't it? So, but at least Fabio is learning still from this racetrack and concentrating on the rest of the race. See what he could do. And this is, I believe, Pinsker versus Paul Ilbrink by the looks of things for the battle for the podium. And Paul, I think we're just seeing the replay now of James actually closing in a little bit. And Paul Ilbrink has gone for a spin, so he was in second. And now James was like, whoop, thank you very much. And he is now up into second. But Paul is now down into third. But still, he's gained one position. And he's got a comfortable gap to the other drivers behind. So this could be an interesting fight with James and Paul for second position. Philip Preschnader. Philip Preschnader's gone off after the hard work that he has done, unfortunately, is undone. And I wonder if it was turn 10 again, the same mistake we saw Phil Reed do. The other side. Oh, careful. That was close, but luckily no damage. He did hit the cones though. And usually sometimes people use the cones for braking references, so not ideal if you have to use something else instead. But I think, Chan, we're starting to see a few more people making mistakes now.
Yeah, if we do have a look at the weather, it would seem that, the track is 24 Celsius, so still quite cool, quite decent for the drivers. Not 41 Celsius where they have no grip at all. Ilbrink has gone down to third, unfortunately, so I might have jinxed him earlier on. Takes the right-hander nicely, and he is behind Pinsker now for 0.5 of a second, so I think his short-term, immediate-term goal rather, is to take second position from James Pinsker and thereafter see what he's able to do after that. So we do have approximately 4 laps to go in this race, or probably 5 laps, if my math serves me right. A good use of the apex there, trying not to hit the hump on the left there, and going along the exit of the corner, and he's going to complete another lap here at Catalonia. So making good use of the slipstream, because as we all know, the main straight here at this track is extremely long, very much longer than many of the other main straights that we see on the Grand Prix calendar. And he turns in and a bit of a wide exit there along the exit of turn 1 and does so nicely afterwards. He's now 0.7 of a second behind James Pinsker. If we do have a look at the last time by lap time,
that's Phil Reed again! That is Phil Reed again, who spun in turn 2. Oh no, that mistake he made earlier in turn 10, he's making more mistakes now. Maybe he just lost concentration. Sorry to cut you off, but you know, he's just not liking these conditions right now. Spain is quite hard for understeer, and even with the slightest late turning, it can cost you. And he was in 4th all the way down into 6th place now, and he's now being chased by Preschnader again. They were battling for 4th and 5th, now they're battling for 6th and 7th position. Times have changed, but it's how you come back from it and see if you can score some points, even though it's not the points that you would be expecting at the moment. He takes turn 10 a little bit more nicely and effectively this time, but surely he's going to take some corners with a little bit more caution now due to what happened in the last lap. But we are seeing, Phil's had a bit of a moment, and can he save it in time? Can he actually get back on the track without hitting the wall? Oh my goodness, that was close, but luckily he did not. Please move out the way, Phil, because there could be people that could be under your path. And I think Phil is having a nightmare end to this race so far, and it's definitely gone to worse now. I think the pressure is just getting to him at the moment, and he's down in 11th. And I did say he was being swamped. He's definitely getting swamped now. And I think we're seeing more mistakes being made. I think another mistake we're seeing maybe is Jason and Rick almost crashing into Phil Reed, which he didn't.
That was so close.
Wow, that was very, very interesting. But let's hope nobody makes any more mistakes. But it just shows anyone can make the mistakes. It doesn't matter where you are on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think I certainly wouldn't want to be in Phil Reed's shoes when that happened, because he's probably got like cars left, right, center of him, all passing him, and certainly passing along his outside of the track. That was certainly a scary moment for him. And yeah, Marcos just posted a gif of me going to the toilet before this. That's exactly how it must have felt. Well, Marco's having a good time behind the scenes as well, operating the cameras.
I think more people making mistakes now. I think we just saw Yuki had a bit of a slide there. Oh, and Phil Reed again. Is it that fight? Is it that start finish straight on the left that people causing problems with? Because it seems to be right now. And with how many laps to go, we only got a few more laps to go. This is an absolute nightmare for some of these drivers right now. Some of them, they can't keep it on a straight line heading towards the final corner, but some of these drivers are going to be relieved that this race will be over very, very soon. And we've got the 19 car of Bonifacio, who I think, with all things considered, he's doing a not too bad job, even though he was caught up in some things earlier, but at least he's still in that midfield train. At the moment, he's gained one position. Dennis Cornu behind him, he's up into 10th place and hidden right in the middle of this train. But look at this battle for 15th. We got the likes of Carl Young, Luciano Costa, Philip Sheaf, and Fabio D'Acamo as well. Fabio at least could get into this fight as well. And here we go. We're still going side by side. And there's what's that 10 and there's contact. There's contact from, unfortunately, Luciano Costa. And sometimes when you go on the inside there, it just does not mix. You do not go free abreast. And I think that's what these drivers were trying to do. Let's go on board with Fabio at the moment. So we're seeing somebody going side by side. And, oh, that is a shame. That is a real shame. And we're seeing more battles happening. I think it's always happening on the final bit of the race then. Here comes Phil Reed versus the Burns. James Byrne and Jamie Byrne past turn 2. And this is not what the position that Phil Reed was hoping for, but he's got to live with it. Here comes James Byrne now into turn 4. Phil Reed has to go very, very defensive. And I'm sure one of the Burns has to back out, but wow, look at that into turn 5 for James R. Byrne. That was incredible. Now heading towards the kink of turn 6. Can Bill go for the switchback, which he does not. You have to say some good teamwork being played from the Burns here at the moment. But can Bill keep it steady into turn 10 on his straight line speed? But I don't think he's going to be close enough. Wow, that was very almighty there. And here comes Paul and James on the attack. Paul has definitely found some pace. I had a feeling Paul's going to go on the attack on the final lap, and he is. Past turn 2 now, Paul Ilbrink then. Into turn 4. Can he go onto the left? No, not quite. As James Pinsker is defending for his life. Heading towards turn 5. James getting a better run then into this corner. Beautifully done, beautiful line. We got Marcos and Ollie fighting for P4. There's just so many battles happening on the track. I can hardly speak at the moment, but Ollie, he's playing it absolutely perfectly around this track, knowing what to do. James knows that Paul Ilbrink is breathing down his neck at the moment, and he wants second place so badly, and this could be his best result in a long time. It could be his first podium in a long time as well. But Eddie Sambroski, who has not put a foot wrong this race, he's going to come across the final corner to take another win in the Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. He celebrates, but this could be a photo finish, but Paul Ilbrink gets James Pinsker on the line, and he takes second place away from him. Fantastic. James in third. Ollie and Marcos, I think they could be having a scrap. And as Carl Young has gone for a bit of a spin, and he's now no longer in his fight. Is this Demolition Derby or something? Dennis Corneau has gone for a spin as well, as Jamie Byrne and James Byrne go past. Phil Reed goes past him as well. It seems all the action seems to be happening on the final lap, but it's Eddie Sambrowski that takes it. We're seeing a replay of how Paul Ilbrink took P2 from James. And I wonder, is it a mistake from them, or did Phil go for the send? And look at the send that that Paul Ilbrink is doing. That's oh no, James was out of fuel then, so that's why Paul overtook James. Wow, that is heartbreaking. I'd like to find out what happened to James's fuel calculations at the end of that race. But Eddie Sambrowski, once again, is on the podium, but this time it is the race victory. So it's the final corner was where James ran out of fuel. You can see where he slowed down. What a shame. We're seeing the battle. We're seeing, I think, many more mistakes happen here. I think we're seeing, we're seeing one of the other cars spinning out as well, but at least the race is over now with Carl Young, and he doesn't have to drive any more laps. So that is everyone that's crossed the line, and Eddie will go into the pits in Parc Ferme with absolute delight right now. What a race. Let's go through your results. Eddie wins from Paul Ilbrink, James Pinsker, Ollie from Marcos, Philip Preschnader. Nice comeback from him. Yuki in 7th, Jason in 8th, Raphael in 9th, James R. Byrne in 10th, Jamie Byrne in 11th, Phil Reed in 12th, John Owens in 13th, Philip 14th, Fabio Giacomo in 15th, Dennis Corneau in 16th, Luciano Costa in 17th, Carl Young in 18th, and Benjamin Barretto in 19th. Let's have a word with our third place finisher, James Pinsker. What happened in the final corner? Did you run out of fuel?
Yeah, I knew I was low on fuel for the whole race. That's why the whole race I was chasing to try and just sit in the slipstream and like lift and coast behind someone, and I was always just a little bit short. And then Paul in the last few laps was running out of grip, so I got past him. But then I saw, I just don't have enough fuel to get to the end, so I'm lifting and coasting everywhere, trying my best to defend. But I was just, short on fuel in the end and just ran out and dropped to P3 right at the end, which is a shame because I feel like I fought hard to get that P2 off Paul in the end, and then, it's the margins and the pace of us top three were really close, so I thought going that one click less on the fuel was going to be a good decision, and it turned out no, it was a crap decision. But P3 is still all right. So
yeah, at least it's still a podium, because I believe you didn't get a podium last week, so it is better than nothing, of course. But yeah, you had a nice battle with the likes of Paul early on in the race, and Eddie at some point as well. Is this definitely the race you needed after some the result you had last week in Kota?
Happy to be again, fighting at the top with these guys. Kota was a frustrating one because I felt like I had the tools to be right up there fighting for the win, but instead I was just making too many mistakes, a bit low on practice, and then had a couple of spins, and it was a really frustrating race. This one was more, I did a couple more hours of practice, I was feeling good, feeling the grip, and I was kind of confident, but I knew Ed and Paul were always very quick at Catalunya, so yeah, I think in the first half of the race particularly, I was missing maybe a tenth or 2 tenths to fight with those guys. And yeah, I was putting everything, I was really intense, making no mistakes, getting the maximum out of the tyres and everything, and then just being a little bit short was a bit frustrating. But I'm happy because I've driven pretty much as good a race as I could have today. So yeah, P3 again. It's frustrating to lose out at the end because of that fuel snag, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, at least you'll remember that for next week, of course. And let's hope you do not run out of fuel next week when we head to Spa, of course, as well. But before we head to talk about Spa, you saw Fabio actually do a jump start as well. Did that caught you off guard a little bit? Did you nearly went off with him as well, or did you just concentrate on your own start there? Because it was a bit unfortunate for Fabio to lose out, but did that at least give you a bit more confidence?
Yeah, that was it was I obviously I didn't react to it. I was very stable and I knew what was going on, but after quality, I think I do have a stat sheet somewhere, so I think this is the first time Fabio's been on pole in one of these. It might be.
I think it is.
So it was quite a big deal for him to be up there, and then just after he set his quali lap, his internet cut out. He got the throughput message, and then he got back into the lobby. So we were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if he gets his first pole and then disconnects?" But
yeah, but things happen sometimes. Maybe, hopefully, Fabio converts the pole into maybe a win or another podium potentially as well. But Spa next week, luckily, it's not in the endurance pit lane, because otherwise that pit lane is so long as well. A driver favourite track and a spectator favourite track as well. Is it one of your favourite tracks? Are you looking forward to racing there next week, and how do you think you're going to fare?
Yes, Spa's absolutely one of my favourites.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, I've won there twice in here, and last season I came really close to winning as well. So yeah, it would be nice to have another win there to round out the season pretty much. Well, there's Interlagos after that, but it'd be nice to get at least one more win this season. And yeah, Spa's a great opportunity to do that. I've been quick there generally for my own performance. I've been going pretty well there, and it's very fun to drive. And looking forward to seeing a lot of names there, because obviously Spa's, it's the big one, it's the main one. Pretty much, you can expect the most participation and the most big names to want to do it. So yeah, I think it'll be very fun, and I'm looking forward to that. But at the same time, it'll be a very difficult race, and I think we saw today was something that maybe is hard to appreciate for people watching. You see me, Paul, and Ed pretty much trading lap times, our gap staying the same, and people can think, oh, maybe it's dirty air or the car's just really easy to get to that pace or whatever. But no, we all put in our different practice regimes and put different years amount of time in the car, and we have a completely different setups, and at the end of the day we just end up the other side all being a really similar pace, which is quite convenient. And yeah, very good fun, and I'm sure Spa will be a great one to watch as well, so look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to watching that and covering it in the commentary box. And before we go, anyone you would like to give a shout out to on stream?
Shout out to obviously Fabio as well. It's tough luck to him, obviously, getting his pole and then jumping the start like that is it's a weird one, and if I was him, then I'd be really upset with myself. So head up, he did a great quali performance, and if his race pace was like that, then for sure he'd been fighting for the win with us. And then shout out to Ed as well on his race win, fair enough. And yeah, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Well done on this week. But a bit of a shame that you just missed out on P2, but a very, very good fight with the leaders, and well done on your race today.
Cheers. So
that was James Pinsker, who was in P3, and now let's interview our race winner, who looked faultless, had no mistakes this week, and I'm going to pass you over to Chan to be interviewing Eddie Sambrowski, who was our race winner today.
Absolutely well-deserved race win. Eddie certainly did a great job, especially fending off Paul Ilbrink at various points. So, well, it's great. Really, congratulations to yourself for winning, especially at a track like this here at Barcelona. I think the whole race was, for the most part, there were a lot of overtakes, quite a lot of incidents as well. It was just really feisty all around, especially throughout the middle of the field as well. So, I recall that some time ago you did share about the way you did do your setups to either optimize yourself to kind of be either to perform well either at the lead or to perform well when you are behind cars. So how did that kind of play out for your race today?
Well, I put in a very good first qualifying lap, and I thought it was good enough. And I had bettered my second lap up until I made a mistake. So I was pretty nervous about exactly what you're referring to, and I actually went with a passing gear so I had more available top-end speed if I were to be behind someone. And as luck would have it, Fabio had an issue on the grid and his brake pedal didn't work. So I knew he had a false start. So I thought in the back of my mind, you know, do I have enough time to leave and regrid and all this other stuff? And I almost did it. I almost left the grid and came back with a different gear, but I just stuck with what I had. And luckily I made the pass into turn 1, or I would have been behind Fabio for the entirety of the race. So there was no way I would have been able to pass him.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was a false start. Certainly, it was unfortunate for Fabio that happened to not Fabio. Yes, Fabio Ducaro that happened to him. What about as we do head to next week? Knowing that track is probably going to be in many ways different from racing here. Over there, it's all about downforce as well as high speed. So, how do you think the race will be like as you head over to the next week?
Well, I believe next week is Spa, if I remember correctly. So you're going to see the different setup packages. You're going to see some people running very steep wing angles, and you're going to see some people, probably myself, running very shallow wing angles. So not to sound negative, but it's going to be a mess at the first lap because everyone's got to sort themselves out, and you'll have people that'll be wicked fast down the straights. We're talking 20 plus kph difference by the end of the straightaway without draft. You add draft in, it's almost 30. And then you have the cornering difference, because you'll have people with more wing that'll want to brake later, and then people who have to brake sooner, and it makes for an entertaining watch. Unfortunately for myself, I usually qualify terrible at Spa. I mean, talking top 15 if I'm lucky. I've never really figured out a good high downforce setup, so probably watching me try to come through the field and get to the top 5 next week. We'll see what happens. I mean, I got a week to try and sort out a setup, but every time I try, I can't come close to what these guys are running.
I certainly do wish you all the best with racing at Spa. It does sound like it will be quite a great show from the perspective of the spectators, so we'll certainly enjoy that bit of it. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, we had a few more donators through the week for the broadcast efforts. I'd like to thank them, guys. I'd like to thank everyone who's sent through liveries and adjusted to the new system. Everyone's been really kind, and I really appreciate it, because it's nice when people make an effort to make my day go easier. So I'd like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast. All of our drivers that show up week in and week out, have some fun, and I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Eddie, for all the work that you do in this series. So that was Eddie, your race winner here at Barcelona, the circuit Barcelona, Catalonia. And Jessica, I think it was all around a crazy race that we've seen for ourselves, and certainly there's a lot more that we can expect for the remainder of the season.
Yes, and if the last few minutes of the race were anything to go by, bring on Spa-Francorchamps next week. And like Eddie was saying, the first few laps is going to be intense for the drivers. Watch out for Rouge and Radion, and let's hope we don't have a few victims of the Rouge crashes next week. But we'll find out. I always love this track. One of the longest in iRacing, 7.004 kilometers. But make sure you join us same time next week on Apex Racing TV. Make sure you click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be notified when we go live. You can also find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Apex Racing TV, and you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. All those usernames are just Apex Racing TV. We also like to thank our sponsors, Apex Racing Academy, which provide lots of data packs, setups and track guides, and also integrated with our other sponsor, Virtual Racing School, which also has 50 plus data packs, setups, track guides and lots more. And finally, SDK Gaming, which you can add a virtual live HUD to iRacing, showtime in towers, and you can also broadcast your league and series and also sync your commentary team's cameras. You can have a 14-day free trial, and if you like it for longer than that, you can get a monthly subscription. So we're going to be heading off now. So for myself, Jess Ball and Chan Wei Han in the commentary box, and Marco doing a lovely job behind the scenes doing the broadcasting and camera work, we will see you next time in Spa-Francorchamps for the 11th round of the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.